Welcome back everybody to another video. Today we're going to be testing the Pepperball TCP in black. So I showed you these in the previous video. These are the Grimburg JULs. And I've been talking about what's coming in terms of higher power and some of the upgrades. And so we're going to start to begin to test the upgrades on the TCP and the VKS. So I thought today I would do a little bit of a demo shooting using my T8.1 9.1 magazine and a 12 gram CO2. And we would load it up with Grimburg JULs. These are the Joules V2. And we use this sleeve cover by Instinct Industries, and that provides a nice base there. And then load the magazine, and then we're ready to go test. So this is going to be the upgraded version. Don't pay attention to the cosmetic. For me, the yellow to black transition does represent transition from really the Pepperball, the way it was originally designed. Maybe a little bit of, tuning the power up to now black, meaning that I have actually done additional upgrades and I've put the power up and I'm using it at levels that are a lot more dangerous and devastating. So we're going to test on a target that we shot before with the yellow version at a lower power, and I'm going to test it on the same target that I have and that I still have from the previous video. So that should be interesting. Before we get started, I want to show you everything that I'm going to be using here with this testing. It's important to keep in mind ear protection, eye protection. These I'm going to start wearing. I didn't wear them in my earlier videos, but as the powers got higher, it gets louder, and significantly louder. And so I always have my protection in case of ricochet and also to protect my ears. I've got my chronograph, and I'm going to try to give you readouts of the FPS for each shot. This is going to be the target for today, and if you might remember this from a previous video, this was using the TCP at about 25 joules range, multiple shots. You can see nice holes or nice dents here, and one hole where I was able to get a second shot and get it to penetrate. So it was a pretty good test of the ability of this material to take shots in that joule range. Now this is it's fairly strong. I don't really know what this material is. Maybe it's aluminum, but it's got a backing that's cardboard, and so it can pierce the thin aluminum shell and go through the cardboard and see what happens now that the TCP has been tuned up, and we can see if we do better in terms of the penetration and the damage to this target. Okay, we're back. The target is up. The TCP is loaded and ready. And I'm going to use my chronograph, and we're going to shoot the target. We'll see if it penetrates. We'll see if we need to stop and check it out, but we're going to get started with this. So we're going to charge it up. And now we're ready to begin first shot. First shot was 312, and I put my hand off of it. Second shot, 291. Okay, so I just walked up there and checked. Both of those two shots went through the metal, and we'll keep going. So the first shot was 312, second shot was 291. 284. 260. .248. And let's stop and check it out. Okay, here we are at the trap. You can see that it fell down, and our projectiles are down inside the trap. The trap does a good job collecting them down here. But let's see what we did. So it was up there like this. Now we have additional holes where each of the shots went in, and it went out the back side. So it's clearly penetrating above 250 FPS with these JUL V2s. It's clearly penetrating this material fairly easily. We'll see how the last few shots do. I don't think we're gonna. We should get less and less penetration, but we'll give it a few more shots. All right, let's do the last couple shots here. Get my hearing protection turned on. Okay, and we'll also chronograph these as well. That's 288. .254. .239. And I think that's all. So I recovered all of my rounds. You can see that these are a little bit scuffed up. They bent through this metal and this cardboard. You can see some discoloration, but these JULs are still in great shape and just need to be washed and reused. Now let's take a look at the trap and see what we have. So this is what we got. We basically have really created a huge hole here with multiple shots. These were the first two shots that I took, and then a lot of the other shots were focused up in this area. All right, some final thoughts about this TCP. This is my TCP that I bought in August of 2020. I've had it almost a year and a half now, and I just want to comment briefly on the reliability. This thing, these markers in general do require some TLC. You got to learn how to take them apart. You got to learn how to lube them. You got to learn how to put in good O-rings. You need to upgrade springs. There are a lot of things you need to do to keep these things reliable. And I'm not going to go through all those details, but I will say that there are weak spots in these markers that you need to shore up in order to make them from a low power to high power, especially if your goal is less lethal. So I just summarized that here at the end of my video. This thing has been a workhorse. I've put a lot of rounds through this thing over the last year and a half. It has done really well, but as you get up into the 30 JUL range, you will encounter some issues, and mostly related to barrel or magazine or the regulator. Those are the main issues that really need attention. And so future videos, I'll break it down and I'll go through some of these in more detail. But overall, I'm very happy with this over the last year and a half. It's been reliable, and I haven't had any major issues. I haven't had any bolt breakages. And I've treated it well with lubing and maintenance every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how often I was shooting it. So overall, I'm very happy with it. And I think I'm going to leave it in a high power setup the way I have it now, because this is the way I like it. I love running kinetic projectiles. I don't have to worry about pepperballs breaking in these magazines. And overall, I think it's just it's a great platform. And that's my plan to continue going forward. I think what happened with this was I went back and looked at the video, and for sure the first shot was right here. That was the new shot, completely unique and penetrated. And this is really pretty tough stuff. It's actually it's not trivial. The second shot went through the exact same hole. It cleared more space. It's a much more clean exit compared to the original picture. So those first two shots were really close. Then I had gone up and I had saw these two shots had penetrated. So I tried to adjust my shooting up a little bit, and unfortunately, this was an area that had already had a couple shots, and so it was probably a little weaker, but easily those shots, you know, went through and caused this major damage. So it wasn't perfect. I would have preferred that these shots had been maybe over here or here, but the good thing about it is now I have all of this space available and I can still use it, and my plan is to test the VKS, so stay tuned.